So in this video, I'm going to be telling you how I animate. I am by no means a professional, but this is what I do. I start with making sketches of the key poses. These are the poses that are most important and will happen in the video. Then I align them and I put them in Flip-a-Clip, which is the program that I use. Start to draw what happens in between the poses. So in-betweens are pretty easy. They're exactly as they're called. You turn on onion skin mode and you draw in between the red and the green line. One thing that's important to keep in mind is the timing at which things happen. For example, let's say you were to drop like a glass ball on the floor. The cracks would first spread through the point of impact to the rest of it before it would break. So in this example, I'm having my character get hit with a baseball. So first the head would go back, and then the rest of the body would follow through with the motion. Many people use timing charts. I don't really know how to use that since I'm a beginner, so I just sort of keep it in my head. If you want to research timing charts, that would probably be a good idea. And here the red lines signify the before frame, and the green lines will signify the after frame. In order to make sure that things are timed the way I want to, in this case I want the head to move back first and the rest of the body to follow suit after. When I'm drawing in between these two lines in this in-between frame, at the top of it I will draw the lines closer to the green line, and in the bottom section for the rest of the body I will draw it closer to the red line. One thing to keep in mind is that not everything will move at the same rate. For example, in this animation, once the donuts are in the air, they will fall at a normal gravity rate regardless of what is happening with the rest of the animation. So what slow in and slow out means that you're going to want to have more frames at the beginning of the action and more frames at the end of the action, with fewer frames in the middle of it. This, of course, does have its exceptions, but for the most part it seems to work well. One thing that many people say about animation is that you have to learn how to draw well first. Well, if you just want to animate, if there's one thing that I'd say that you'd have to know well, it wouldn't be anatomy or line width or anything like that. I'd say it'd have to be perspective. And I don't mean perspectives as in only in landscapes. I also mean it as characters when they move towards and away from the supposed camera. So here's a pretty important tip that may seem really obvious, but I didn't get it at first. It's to keep your stuff on different layers, like your character on a different layer than the background, and different moving objects on different layers from each other so you can move them independently and not have to worry about accidentally erasing something that you didn't want to erase. So squash and stretch is a pretty important principle that I need to work on. I'm applying it to the baseball here. I'm sort of stretching it out to signify how fast it's going, but I need to work on applying it to the characters themselves. So smear frames are pretty fun. They're used in between frames where a fast, long-range motion is happening, like here. It's usually like an abstract shape between the two. So before and after the smear frame happens, I tend to add a frame that's a little bit less distorted than the smear, but a little bit more distorted than the keyframe before and after. It'll help make it look overall more smooth. So just before the end of an action, I'll add a frame that goes a little bit farther than the action ends up. I'm going to be calling this an overshoot. It makes it look more natural. Next, I'm going to show you how to lip sync. Since I couldn't find any other audio for this, I just recorded my own. So what you heard there wasn't a glitch. It was me listening to the audio very slowly, so I'm making sure which sounds go on which frame so that I can properly draw the mouths. For me, a higher frame rate would make mouth movements more realistic. And for me, that would be 24 frames per second. However, even though it is 24 frames per second, the mouth does not need to be moving every second. You see, even if you do talk in real life, There are noticeable times where the mouth stays in a position while it's making a certain syllable. So you don't have to draw it being different every single frame. It can hold a pose for a few frames or more than that. In fact, it looks better that way. So, how you know what shapes to make while you're doing the lip syncing is, first of all, you can look on some online animation mouth charts. There's plenty of those. But I'd say the easier way is to use yourself as a model. Say whatever words you want them to say slowly and try and observe what shapes your mouth makes. Another important thing is to keep your mouth layer on a separate layer than the rest of them. This will make coloring a lot easier and it'll just be easier in general to work with. So then besides that, animating the mouth is basically the same as animating anything else. You're going to want to put your keyframes of the important positions that the mouth's going to be in, and you're going to draw what's in between those positions on the in-between frames. It's just the same. I caught it! So coloring is the easiest and probably the most boring part for me. I just make sure that all the lines are closed, and I use the bucket tool to fill them. If I would have a tip, it'd be to have a palette set for your character like I have for mine. It'll make it easier to find all the colors and stuff. I caught it! I caught it! Well, that's how I animate. I hope that the ones of you who are asking for this were able to learn something. If not, then at least you got to see Osito get hit in the face with a baseball like 7 times. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.